Well, yeah, like you mentioned, it was an interesting time when you guys got into it because there was 2 wars that were happening at the same time, Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah.
Bush takes office.
Yeah.
And military contracts just went crazy.
Yeah.
So in 2001, military contracts were 145 billion.
Yeah.
In 2008, it was 390 billion.
Yeah.
And these days it's 800 billion.
Yeah, just keeps climbing.
So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. These are massive numbers.
Yeah, enormous. Yeah.
Okay. So now you have all this money that needs to be spent.
Yeah.
And you're building up your contacts. Now, during this early time, were you having any kind of crazy situations dealing with these guys, like, you know, trying to buy weapons overseas? And...
Well, we didn't have any crazy situations at first. That just kind of came later. There were a few situations where I thought that that Ephraim was doing things that made me uncomfortable, that I didn't think he should be doing. Like he was trying to source a whole package of attack helicopters and heavy machine guns for the king of Nepal. He called it the Save the King package because the king was facing down pro-democracy protests and wanted to suppress the protests. And so Ephraim was trying to supply him with that, and I thought that was kind of messed up and probably illegal. Luckily for Ephraim, I would say, and for the people of Nepal, that they ended up making like a deal with the king so that the protests eventually ended and before it had to get violent. But yeah, I mean, that obviously made me very uncomfortable and very concerned and made me start to second guess whether I should be doing business with him because he would be willing to do these kinds of things.
Well, yeah, but in general, though, you take that situation out, you are, you know, brokering guns and ammunition that are used to kill people.
Yes, but we were selling it to the U.S. federal government. And so I felt like I was pretty much at the same moral liability as someone who joins the military, right? I mean, they're pulling the trigger.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but compared to supplying someone like the king of Nepal, who is using those weapons to suppress a pro-democracy protest, I think that's very different than supporting the U.S. military. I do see myself as a patriot, and I fully support the United States. I don't think we do everything correctly all the time, of course, and I think we should all vote with our conscience. But I don't see anything wrong with supporting the U.S. Defense Department.
2006, you and Ephraim go to Euro Satori.
Euro Satori.
Which is a big trade show in Paris.
Yes.
And you meet someone important there.
Yeah.
That is?
Heinrich Thomet, or in the movie, he's played by Bradley Cooper.
Right.
Yeah, he's a Swiss arms dealer.
So what happens after you guys meet him?
Well, it wasn't the first time we met him, actually. We actually did meet him for the first time in Vegas about 6 months before that. And we had been doing business with him over the phone. We had been introduced to him from our investor, Ralph, who in the movies played by this Jewish laundromat owner, but in real life, his name is Ralph. He's actually Mormon and owns a machine gun factory based in Utah, and Ralph Merrill. And so he had introduced us to Henry, and we'd been sourcing things through Henry. We hadn't met him in person though until I think it was February of 2006 in Vegas, and then we met him again in Euro Satori in Paris. And he was just like one of the most connected guys in the industry. I mean, he knew everybody, especially in the Balkans and in Eastern Europe. He was even connected with Russia. Not that we could do business with Russia because they were on a blacklist, but he knew everybody, and he got us incredible prices on everything that we were bidding on. And eventually, for the Afghan contract, he's the one who connected us with the Albanian connection.
Well, Thomet was like a real life Lord of War.
Yeah, he was. He is. He's still around.
Oh, he's still around?
As far as I know, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He had shell companies everywhere.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really tell who was buying what, from where, from how. But he was also investigated For example, Amnesty International
Right.
investigated him for smuggling arms out of Zimbabwe, which was a U.S. sanction violation.
Right.
He's under investigation by U.S. law enforcement for shipping weapons from Serbia to Iraq.
Right.
He was on the watch list by the State Department.
Yeah.
Basically, connecting yourself to him was a big red flag if you're working with America.
So he had been investigated, but he was never actually convicted. This guy always managed to escape getting caught. So I don't know, obviously, I don't know what he did in real life. I know he was accused of a lot of things, but I don't know, but he had never been actually caught doing the things he was accused of.
Okay.
So a lot of people pointed fingers at him, but they couldn't prove it. I will say that when we bid on the Afghan contract, and we were required to list our sources, who we were getting stuff from, and we listed him. So we informed the Pentagon that we were buying from him, and so they were well aware of who we were doing business with. So yeah, he had been investigated by Amnesty International and a few other organizations, but the Pentagon knew that we were doing business with him, and they still gave us the contract.